Did you know that in one single election year, 50,000 qualified voters were just arbitrarily removed from a major city's active voter list? Yeah, 50,000. Welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, we are focusing on a really critical task for anyone living in the Magnolia State right now, and that is verifying your voter registration status in Mississippi. We're going to break down exactly how to navigate the system, why it matters so much, and how to basically guarantee your voice is actually heard at the ballot box.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap to get you completely prepped. 1. Why registration matters. 2. Checking your Mississippi status. 3. Troubleshooting the SHIELD Act. 4. Ensuring your vote counts. 5. Additional voter assistance resources. And 6. Take action and verify now.
Section 1. Why voter registration matters, a historical baseline. So, to really understand why we're doing this, we have to ask a pretty provocative question. What actually happens when voter registration systems fail? Well, administrative voting chaos is, unfortunately, not a new problem in American elections. When lists aren't maintained accurately, or, when voters just assume they're registered without double-checking, the whole system kind of breaks down. Outdated information, clerical errors, or sudden changes in voting districts, these can lead to major disenfranchisement or, on the flip side, open the door for systemic fraud. To give you an idea, back during a 2001 Senate hearing investigating the 2000 election crisis in St. Louis, we heard two very different, yet equally critical perspectives on flawed voter systems. On one hand, Senator Kit Bond argued that inaccurate rolls lead straight to fraud, pointing out crazy instances where dead people and, literally, a dog named Ritzy Meckler were kept on the active voter lists. No joke. But then, on the other hand, Representative Lacey Clay argued that flawed list maintenance leads to mass disenfranchisement, testifying that legal, perfectly qualified voters were being turned away from the polls just because their names were improperly missing from the active lists. Now, we aren't here to take sides or endorse either political viewpoint, but it is super important to point out that whether your biggest fear is fraud or disenfranchisement, the root cause is exactly the same: inaccurate voter rolls.
50,000. That is the massive number of qualified voters that Representative Clay noted were arbitrarily removed from the active list in St. Louis during that single election year. Imagine that. When those voters showed up at the polls, they were just told they weren't on the active list, which caused absolutely massive confusion. This perfectly illustrates exactly why you must proactively verify your own status. You definitely do not want to become a statistic on Election Day, right? Section 2. Checking your Mississippi status. Navigating the portals.
Now, Mississippi is actually one of the states that doesn't currently offer online voter registration, but they do have a really robust online verification system. So step 1 is to visit the Mississippi Secretary of State's official Y'all Vote verification portal. Catchy name, right? Step 2, you are going to enter your exact registration data. And step 3, you'll be able to quickly review whether you are listed as active or inactive and officially confirm your exact polling location.
But here's the catch. To successfully use the Y'all Vote portal, you absolutely must have your exact name as it appears on your registration, your date of birth, and, importantly, a Mississippi Department of Public Safety driver's license or state ID. Manual data entry errors are super common here. If you enter a nickname instead of your full legal name or just mistype a single digit, it's going to result in a mismatch. So you've really got to be precise. Of course, we know not everyone has internet access or a state-issued DPS ID for that matter. If that's you, honestly, don't worry at all. You can just call the elections hotline at 1-800-829-6786 or simply visit your local circuit clerk's office in person during regular business hours, which are typically Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. The clerks there can verify your birth information if you just provide your full legal name, date of birth, birth state, and your mother's maiden name.
Section 3. Troubleshooting the SHIELD Act. Resolving flagged records.
Okay, so recently Mississippi implemented what's known as the 2026 SHIELD Act. This law basically mandates stringent citizenship verification and requires annual voter roll checks against federal databases. What this actually means for you is that even if you've been securely registered at the exact same address for decades, these automated checks might flag your record if your data doesn't perfectly match other government databases. And certain groups are definitely more susceptible to being flagged by this automated system. For example, college students who might have out-of-state IDs, married women whose names haven't been updated across every single government database, or non-drivers who are missing a Mississippi DPS ID. If you fall into one of these categories and your record happens to get flagged, the required action is that you must provide documented proof of citizenship, often called DPOC, to your election officials. That'll resolve the discrepancy and get your active status fully restored.
Section 4. Ensuring your vote counts. Election Day Preparation.
Now that we're verified, let's talk about the big day. Because timing is absolutely everything in Mississippi. You have got to adhere to these strict deadlines. 30 days before the election is your absolute hard deadline to register or update your address, mainly because Mississippi does not allow same-day registration. Then, of course, you vote in person on Election Day. And finally, if you voted by absentee ballot and for some reason it was rejected, maybe your signature didn't quite match your registration record, you have exactly 10 days after the election to submit an absentee cure form to make sure your vote is actually counted.
And please remember, verifying your registration is literally only step 1. When you show up on Election Day, you must bring an acceptable form of photo ID. This includes your MSDPS driver's license or state ID, a U.S. passport, an accredited Mississippi student photo ID, a U.S. military ID, or a free Mississippi voter identification card. Presenting an accepted ID isn't just a suggestion, it's an absolute requirement under Mississippi law to cast a regular ballot.
Section 5. Additional Voter Assistance Resources. Help is available. If you need a little extra help, there are some really excellent supplementary tools out there. The My Election Day portal on the Secretary of State's website is absolutely fantastic for double-checking your polling location and, crucially, tracking the status of absentee or affidavit ballots. If you're military or overseas, the SafeVote MS portal is your go-to resource. And hey, if you or someone you know needs help getting a valid ID for voting, organizations like VoteRiders offer completely free assistance to help you navigate that whole process.
Section 6. Take action and verify. Now, final steps.
So I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative question. Is your Mississippi voter registration fully up to date and active right now? Really think about it. Please don't just assume that it is. As we've seen, lists change, laws update, and administrative errors absolutely happen. Your voice is way too important to be silenced by a simple paperwork glitch. Please take a moment today to verify your status and definitely share this explainer with your friends and family so they can do exactly the same.
Finally, just a quick disclaimer. Election laws are subject to change. While this explainer is based on the most current available resources, always verify procedures, deadlines, and registration rules with official Mississippi election sources, like the Secretary of State's office. Thank you so much for joining me today. Stay informed, stay focused, and happy voting.